it's Yvonne from GingerChickRehab. In today's video, me and Chris are going to be tag teaming this piece behind us. So yes, from afar it looks like it's in great shape and just put it in the booth and sell it as is. It's actually a piece that my sister-in-law was given that she's ended up moving from her house, and she was going to redo it herself, but she just decided just to gift it to us and see what we can do to it. So even though from afar it looks pretty good, there is some wonkiness and there is some, the paint job, way too much texture for me. So I'll get in a little closer look and show you what the areas that we have to work on. And yeah, unfortunately the whole piece is going to need to be sanded to get that smooth paint job that we like to do. So now they've changed out the hardware to some very modern Hobby Lobby type of hardware, but as we it's got that distressed look in it, but it wasn't, a lot of the pieces weren't that real wood, that the paint never soaked in, so there's a lot of brush marks, there's a lot of texture on this piece, which is not a technique that we prefer. And as you can see the undertones of the two woods do not match. And I think that maybe it was just a paint job with just a brush, just trying to dry brush it on to give it that distressed look. With the hardware being painted, the door does not open up easily at all. Not only do the hinges, but these are those clasps that help keep the door closed, and they have multiple layers of paint on them too. So we're just going to be replacing those. But I am so super excited that this piece has a light and glass shelves that are in it. Okay, but just wait, there's just one more problem. The door drawers have been dropped, as you can see, and then re-glued and screwed. So Chris is going to have to replace that back piece of wood to make these drawers look more presentable. And then the two drawers themselves don't completely match, and then the outer has been painted. So we'll probably just go ahead and just paint the whole drawer itself. Get started, Chris is going to take those glass pieces, set them off to the side, get this door taken off, and remove that glass and get that off to the side so it doesn't accidentally get broken. I don't know about you all, but I'm always scared of glass. I don't want to have to pay to replace glass. Then just like the other hardware pieces, the little tabbies that keep the glass in place have been painted also. So luckily we do actually buy these pieces. You can buy all these replacement pieces in bulk off of Amazon, and I'll try to remember to list them in my Amazon store. And now, including the light, Chris is just going to finish taking off the rest of the hardware. Now go ahead and remove this drawer face so he can work on that broken piece of wood. So now that he has that piece removed, he's just going to cut a new piece to match. So now that he has his matching replacement piece, he's just going to fit it in, make sure that it fits the way that it properly should, put a little bit of glue on there, and get it screwed back into place. Now, since we will be giving this an undercoat, or Chris will be giving this an undercoat of black, what he's doing here is just smoothing out that paint, all those brush strokes. There is a ton of brush strokes, a ton of texture on this. So just some 120 sandpaper. Luckily, the paint doesn't seem to be gumming up or anything like that, which is good. You just never know when you get into sanding onto paint. Just make, the touch and feel, just sand it, feel it, see if it's the texture you're looking for. So sometimes doing these little repairs, smoothing paint jobs on, is not the funnest part of prepping to get to the part where you finally get to wash the piece, but it definitely needed to be done. We had some areas that needed to be fixed. It needed to be sanded so it had more of a smooth paint job. And now he can get to just some Superclean and some hot water to get the piece all cleaned up and make sure that there's nothing left behind that will prevent his paint from sticking. So we're going to be going back to our signature look on this piece, which is painted black underneath and then white and distressed so the black shows through. But unfortunately, the areas that were distressed originally on this piece are missing the black. So Chris is going to go back in with that black onyx, ready to use paint from Walmart and get that all painted back up. He's not going to have to paint the entire piece all black. He just wants those areas that he knows we're going to go back and distress. After that black paint is dry, we're going to go ahead and seal that in using some Rust-Oleum clear coat. So what this is going to do is going to seal that black in, and so when you go to distress it, when you get the top color put on, that will keep that in place. We're going to be using the Graco sprayer. This is a wonderful sprayer when it comes to big pieces like this. Now this sprayer does not take an air compressor, it just draws in the paint so that you have to have it in a gallon of paint, so that's slightly watered down. So I'm just making sure that our paint is nice and watered down and getting it all stirred up. It's my turn to use the sprayer, so I'm all masked up and ready to go. Did pick out some new hardware for the piece, but old hardware that we had in our stash. But I am soaking it in some hot water and some Dawn dish soap, especially for those hinges that we need to reuse to remove that paint. After our 2 coats of white paint are dried on the one side, we're going to flip the pieces over and try to get the rest of the surface area that wasn't painted in the first. Now the top of this still has some condition issues going on, so Chris is going to go ahead and give it a sanding, and we're going to end up putting a top coat on it just the way that the previous person that had done it, they had sanded it. It looked like previously some of the top coat, the original stain and all that was left on, and then there was some, the down to the natural. Now, the Kills Paint Primer that we use has primer in it, but it just apparently was not enough to fill in any of it from being absorbed in and causing these dry spots. So just going in with some Polycrylic to solve this problem. But then the rest of the piece can get sanded as it has a great finish on it. So he's just using some 300 sandpaper just to make sure those flat areas are nice and smooth to the touch. And then he'll go in with just some 220 sandpaper on all those sharp edges and just sand down till he starts to see that black come through. This is just going to pop the details. Even just a straight edge, a sharp edge, a corner is a beautiful detail when it's distressed. Well, at least he had that to work on while he was waiting for the polycrylic to dry on the top. So now he's going to go in with another coat of the Kills paint, and that'll definitely even out the surface now. Especially since this is the top of the piece, you didn't want those, I should have got a close-up of it, of the dry marks where the porosity just was not evened out on the top of this piece. So now after getting this all sanded, it's time to finish up with some Varathane finishing wax. So this is just a wipe on, a wipe off any excess, and what it's going to do is going to give that paint one more level of protection. So not only making these drawers a matching set by painting them, I'm going to go ahead and put some of this Dollar Tree contact paper so they have that little bit of a pop of hidden color once you open up the drawers. Now there's just something about this hardware with that white and that painted black. So just some Rust-Oleum black spray paint with some clear coat on top of this hardware just gives it a, that pop is just there, especially with that hidden pop of that contact paper. I love my black and white. So that top piece doesn't scratch up the bottom piece, just some felt little sticky pads, and I probably do overkill on them, but I just would love to protect the pieces that we just spent all that time painting. So every little corner gets one of these felt pads. And then the last little bit is getting these glass shelves cleaned up with some Minwax cloths. I love these things. Just water the one wet Enviro cloth to wipe it clean and leave it wet, and then the dry cloth that just makes it streak free. Yes, sometimes pieces of furniture are a little bit more needy once you actually physically get your hands onto them. Yep, me and Chris both thought that this was going to be, yep, let's just repaint it, fix a couple little things that we spied at the beginning, but nope. But anyway, it turned out beautiful, and so I hope that you enjoyed watching us do the process of making over this beautiful hutch. So thanks again for watching today's video, guys, and as always, if you're part of our YouTube family, thank you so much. And if you're new and checking out our furniture flipping for the first time and you liked what you saw, please hit that subscription button along with the notification bell so you know when we've uploaded a new video, and we will see you next time, guys, and you can see what we're up to. Bye. If you wanted to stay at the end and watch how I stage, what my vision is, what my thought process, I absolutely love staging hutches. Oh my goodness, especially when it's our classic white, which is true to my heart. And so yeah, so stay if you want to watch how I decorated this hutch. I have a whole bunch of trinkets from my house. Yes, when I'm staging things, I take things from my own house. We could have a staging box, which Chris would love if we had a staging box inside the workshop, but I like my decor and I like to have it out, and if I put it in a tote or a box, I'll forget that I have it. Bear with me as I play with this hutch to decorate it. Yep, this is all that ironstone that I just can't pass up, and I'm happy to stage it in these. Now I know we're past Christmas time and I should not be doing bottle brush trees, but I can't help myself because these knobs and the color of this green, I always like to try to add a little bit of green on if I can. So I actually think I need to get a couple more pieces from the house, so I have a little bit more idea what I want. Okay, so I grabbed basket number 2 of goodies from our house. And this little guy is missing his parts, but I love his looks. I put a little spool underneath him to keep him up. I'm gonna stack. Try again. I want a little bit more height. Go with some more black in my Bibles. Talk to myself while I stage. Y'all do that? Do you talk to yourself while you stage? Some of my thrifted finds. Oh my gosh, this is so cool. Along with my little piggy. There's some things that I don't resell because they're very vintage and I'm just not that type of reseller. Couldn't help it with the little trees and the knobs. Oh goodness. So here was my thought process when I have an all white hutch. Yeah, I like those pops of wood. I like to keep the wood tones, the black, pop a little bit of greenery in there, and of course the off-whites of the ironstone.